Keen is known for making some of the most comfortable boots in the entire world across many disciplines: work, hiking, water stuff, sandals, and now recently they've dipped their toes into the fast and light hiking boot world with this shoe, the Zionic. So in this video, we're gonna try to figure out, first of all, what is a fast and light hiking boot? What are the pros and cons, and how does it compare to a traditional all-leather hiking boot? And thanks to Keen for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check out this boot via link in the description to thank them for doing this mostly informational video. So what is this boot? Well, the brand is Keen. The style is a Zionic Mid WP for waterproof. They weigh 15.2 ounces. They retail for $170, and they're made in Vietnam. And the way that Keen positions this product is propel your hike faster, further, and funner. I'm pretty sure funner is not a word. I'm pretty sure people got mad at me several times in the comment section for saying funner. With the unique combination of speed, stability, and comfort, Zionic is a springboard for trail time. What is a fast and light hiking boot? To me, it's mostly made of synthetic materials like foam, plastics, and polyurethanes, and they're characterized by big, chunky, squishy, and wide midsoles, with the overall goal of decreasing the impact on the body and adding additional comfort underfoot and all the foam in the world to comfort you, but also to spring you forward with each step, with the overall goal of making the shoe lighter weight and faster on the trails, whether it's just casual hiking, for sport, or for exercise. And what boot are we comparing it to for the traditional? Well, we're gonna do the ND2, which is the collaboration I did with NYX, and the ND3 drops really soon, so get on the limited edition email list. I'll put more information in the description. So what is a traditional hiking boot? Well, to me, it's made with mostly traditional techniques and materials like stitching, nails, and lots of leather. And they're characterized by having a really simple design, a nice luggy outsole, and mostly natural materials, with the goal of having a lot of arch support, ankle stability, and overall durability. So now that you know what we're comparing, now let's go through how we're gonna compare them. So essentially we're gonna go through the pros and cons of the traditional boot first, then compare to the pros and cons of the fast and light hiking boots. And then at the end, we'll tally up everything and do a final analysis. So starting with the traditional boot first, this leather is obviously all leather. The pros are it's really, really durable, and it's really puncture resistant and abrasion resistant. It smells a lot less because of the natural antimicrobial attributes of leather, and it's really supportive because it molds not just around your foot, but also your ankle and around your leg. The cons of leather are that it's really heavy and they're really hard to break in, and they're not super flexible, so you get this what they call white bite right at the instep of your foot. They're also more expensive because of the cost of materials, and even though leather is a little bit breathable, it's nowhere near as breathable as synthetic materials, so they do get a little bit hot. Compare that to the synthetic upper of the Keen, which is made of 100% recycled bottles, which is really cool. The pros are super lightweight. They're obviously more breathable. As seen by this breathability test, you can see how much more breathable than is an all leather boot. They're more flexible and comfortable out of the box, and they're just a fraction of the cost because there's a lot less labor that goes into it. The cons of synthetics are that it's not as durable, they can stink faster, they're not as supportive, and they're just not as puncture resistant and durable, because if you compare the puncture test, the Keen only took 64 pounds to puncture through. Compare that to the ND2, and it's quite a big difference. Then if we look at the inside of the boots, at the lining, so the traditional boot they're usually only lined in the vamp. The pros of that are that it covers all the high pressure points that might be caused by these junctions of the leathers. There's less failure because it's a lot more simple design and less things to come apart. The cons are that they're just not very waterproof, because even if you do waterproof the leather, water can still seep through the stitching to the inside of the boot. Versus the Keens, they have their synthetic Keen dry lining. The pros are that it's a moisture wicking lining, it has a waterproof membrane that makes it almost 100% waterproof. The cons are, though, that the fabric just is never gonna last nearly as long as leather, and that's why you wear out the heels of your shoes a lot faster than leather boots. And that waterproof lining, over time and a lot of wear, can get little holes in it, killing the waterproofness, because it's really just like a little teeny thin plastic bag wrapping around your foot. Next, if we look at the insole and the inserts, the ND2 has a sock liner halfway through, and then it's a full-length veg tan leather insole. The pros are that leather makes it a very stable platform. Once it's broken in, you get this custom footprint inside of your boot that makes it feel and fit like a glove. The cons, though, are that they're really hard underfoot. Even when they're broken in, it's just never gonna be as soft as foam. And to break in this insole, it takes a long time. It takes like 100 to 200 hours to fully get that footprint in there, so it's just a little bit of a bear to break these in. Comparing that to the Keen, you've got an open cell foam insole, really nothing special there. Then you have a non-woven lasting material underneath. The pros are that you get instant comfort because you're just standing on foam. It's removable, so you can replace it with orthotics or if you wear these out. And the foam is just gonna be comfortable initially, and in most situations across the board because it's foam. But the cons are that it's so soft that it can be unstable. They're never quite the same custom footprint fit, and they wear out faster because they're synthetic materials. Next to the midsole where the fast and light hiking boots really shine, and it's maybe the biggest difference between the two. So the Indy 2 has several layers of leather throughout the midsole. The pros are that lots of leather building up lots of arch support. The cons are that it's just not impact resistance. You feel a lot of the shock of every single step because it just vibrates through the hard leather and the hard rubber up into your body. There's just not a lot of dampening going on. Versus the Keens, they are stuffed with as much foam as humanly possible in a boot. The pros are that it reduces the impact in every single step significantly. It allegedly helps propel you forward in each step because of the rebound of the foam. To test that, we did the bar drop test, and the Indy 2s bounced up 6.5 inches. The Keens bounced up 8.5 inches, the third best that we've ever actually had. They also usually have a lot less of a heel, and they have a rocker shape to them so that you can kind of glide into each step, like almost like a rocking chair. It just helps you transition better. The cons are that you just don't have as much arch support, and the arch support you have is so soft that it doesn't really hold your arch nearly as strong. And then on side heels and really rough terrain, all this squish makes them a little bit more unstable and prone to rolling and wearing out the little muscles in your legs to stabilize the boot as you walk. Next to the outsole, the thing that actually makes contact with the ground, well, the Indy 2s have the classic V100 logger outsole. Super luggy, lots of grip. The cons are that they're really heavy and they hold on to mud a little bit more than I like, and they just look a little too manly and rugged for some people. Compare that to the Keens, and they still have a pretty luggy outsole, but it's not nearly as thick, it's not nearly as hard. The pros are that you get a lot lighter outsole with all the grip remaining, and it doesn't clog up nearly as much. The cons are that it's not nearly as protective as seen by the puncture test, where the Indy 3s took 340 pounds to puncture through, where the Keens only took 78. And now to the final point that really makes these boots possible, and that's how they're made or the construction. Well, the Indy 2 is a traditional sewn and nailed construction. The pros are, with all these mechanical fasteners and the stitching, nails, and glue, it makes it a really, really well put together boot, and that's why this style of boot is worn by most wildland firefighters. Well, after you've worn these and the soles are worn out, you can get a new sole thrown on, and it increases the longevity by 2 to 3 times. But the cons are very pricey, very heavy, and a very long wait time. Most of these brands that make this quality boot, you have to wait 6 to 9 months, if not a year for them. The Keens, on the other hand, are direct injected with fused overlays and gluing and a lot less stitching. It's a much more modern way of making a boot, and the pros are that it's affordable, it's lightweight, comfortable, and you can basically get them anywhere with no wait time. And direct injecting is a surprisingly strong way of holding materials together, because it's basically like pouring water over top of something where it's gonna seep into every little nook and cranny, and then it solidifies and turns into foam. And so it's about as strong of an adhesion as you can get. The cons are, though, that it's not as resolable, they're not really made for really rough terrain, and it's synthetic materials instead of natural materials, if that matters to you. So now let's cut these in half, see what's on the inside, and see how much foam they actually packed in this so that we can really get an idea of the visual difference between these two boots. All right, we got them cut in half, so let's see what's inside. Now you can see all that soft, squishy foam that is really soft. It comes in a 20 Shore A, and from the insole down to the outsole, it's about 1.5 inches of foam between you and the ground. And now you can see this interesting plate that they run the full length of the shoe, and what this is almost like a shank, and it's used to help increase the energy return in every single step. So the idea is in every step, you preload that spring, and then as you lift off the weight, it almost propels you forward. How much does it actually propel you? We've seen in previous videos where like the Nike foam and the way they do their shank increased the performance by 5% of marathon runners. So there is some data in some shoes to back these claims up. So you can see how combining that responsive foam plus that springboard and the lightweightness that even if there isn't a big difference, you'd feel a difference. So what is the real difference between a traditional boot and a fast and light hiking boot? Well, I tallied up all the keywords of all the pros, and traditional, it's puncture resistant, it smells good, supportive, simple, less fatigue, stable, footprint on the insole, arch support, grip, and resolable. Compare that to the keywords of the fast and light hiking boots, where you've got breathable, lightweight, flexible, affordable, moisture wicking, waterproof, non-clogging, impact resistant, energy return, rocker, accessibility, fused, and comfortable. So now looking at all that, how do you decide between the two? Well, it depends on what you do, because if you're really bushwhacking, you're on side hilling and you need all that support, just go with the traditional. But if you're on groomed trails where you're just looking for comfort and you're not getting off into the boonies too crazy, fast and light hiking boots are hard to beat. They are so comfortable. The majority of people aren't doing the bushwhacking and the real heavy hiking and backpacking for 20 miles into the backcountry or firefighting. So for most people, that's why these have really popped off in the last 5 to 10 years, and why everyone, when you go up to the trails, is wearing these big, chunky, squishy boots. So when you combine all of that with the wide toe box of Keen and the reputation of Keen and the comfort that they're known for, that's why I really wanted to compare this to the traditional boots, because it paints such a different picture juxtaposing the two. So huge thanks again to Keen for sponsoring this video and allowing it to be mostly an information video and less of a highlight of this product. So to thank them, be sure to check this out via link in the description, and consider Keen for everything other than hiking too, because they've got the work boots, they've got the traditional work boots, they've got sandals, they've got water stuff, they've basically everything you can do in a boot or shoe. Keen has a ridiculously comfortable version. So thanks again for Keen for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys for all the support you guys give us and for supporting these sponsored videos, because these sponsored videos are the lifeblood of the channel. It's what makes everything else possible. So thank you guys. See ya.